Hey folks, we are back live on the Dev Twitch stream. My name is Nick Taylor. I'm a lead software engineer at Forum. Forum is the software that powers dev.
I'm Christina Gorton, developer advocate at Forum, and this is our last stream for the year until next year, and we have a wonderful guest with us, Gift Egwuenu. Thank you for joining us. Tell us about yourself a little bit before we get started here.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Gift Egwuenu. I'm currently a front-end developer and a content creator. I love making content for developers, and I do that on my blog, YouTube channel. Yeah, it's pretty much about me. Yeah.
Yes, and Gift has wonderful content, like she said, all different kinds of content written and then also video as well. Definitely, we'll be dropping links later on to a lot of those so that everyone can check them out. But today we want to talk about a bunch of general things. So we will be talking a little bit more about content creation. We'll be talking about learning in public, which a lot of times leads to your content creation and other things from there. Nick, is there anywhere in specific you wanted to start?
I'm a big fan of learning in public too, so I think that'd be a great place to start. I know you've been doing this for a while. Uh, I love the whole concept of it, so I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it and what you've been doing with it.
Sure. So the funny thing is with learning in public, I didn't know it was coined that term even before I started doing it. I actually am I like to advocate for it a lot because it's something that's
Okay.
really helped me in my career. And the whole idea of learning in public is basically, like the word says, learn publicly, share the work that you're doing publicly. And this could be through different mediums. It could be through writing blog posts, or making videos, or doing Twitch streams like we're currently doing right now. It's just basically sharing the work that you're doing publicly, right? And I
Yeah.
started doing this off from a challenge. Then it's called the 100 Days of Code. I did it while I was still learning to become a front-end developer. This was somewhere around 2018. And what I would do then, because I was learning JavaScript, what I would do then is I was building a lot of things at the time with JavaScript jQuery. Then I would share my progress on Twitter. Also, every week I would write like a summary post of what I learned for the week and also share it on Twitter. And I find that from that, I built like a community of people that were interested in my journey as a developer. I also got into the 100 Days of Code community, which was very nice. And it really helped me
Yeah.
with, my journey at the time. So it's something that I just continued doing after that period.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
That's awesome. That's actually similar to what I did around the same time. I did 100 Days of Code, and that's where I did a lot of the learning in public too, because I think at the time I was more focused on CSS, but anytime I would create something or make something, I tried to share it, and a lot of that was happening on Twitter thanks to the 100 Days of Code. That was really popular at the time and still active community for anyone interested in that stuff. So I think that's really great that as you've been learning, you were sharing. And for you, do you feel like that? So for a lot of people, when they learn something and then they share it, that kind of cements that stuff for them. Do you feel like that was really helpful for you as you were learning to code?
Yeah, definitely. A huge part of my learning is when I learn something and also share it with other people, regardless of the format, right? It could be that I write a blog post about something that I learned recently, and in I think just putting myself to or challenging myself to share something already gives me the sense of, oh, you need to actually know this thing that you're sharing, right? So I
Mhm.
actually go deeper into that area or aspects of the tech
Yeah.
or concepts that I'm trying to share, and I try to learn it even better than when I will just typically use it for, like, for example, a job or a task that I have to do, right? So it really helps me cement that knowledge, and definitely that's something that I think works for me
Mhm.
in doing that. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
it's a
think
good
that's
way.
that's a good note. I think there's a little bit of that almost like peer pressure when you're deciding to learn in public. That like if
Yeah.
you're going to share stuff, you need to actually know a little bit more of the stuff you're sharing. Like I know I definitely feel that. That's something I've had to do in the past because you know someone is probably, and this is something to be aware of, anyone trying to learn in public, is that people will call you out on things, and usually in a nice manner. Like a lot of times the tech community will help you like, hey, I actually this is what this concept is. I think you got that a little wrong, but you can get that negative feedback too. And so just something to be aware of. Have you had any like issues with that at all, or do you feel like it's been really supportive of the community?
I'll say mostly supportive, but of course, like it's going to be unfair for me to say, oh, it's always been good feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been
Yeah.
time where probably somebody calls out something in a blog post or a video that I make, and so I always take it as good feedback, except they use it like very condescending tone to share what you're saying. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm very happy for people to like correct me or give me like a better way of doing something. I learn from those kind of feedback. So of course, I get that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think feedback's it's good, like, well, one, it means people are checking out your content, which is a good thing. And if anything, if it's constructive, like you're saying, it can just only make your content even better for other people that come by the next time. So it's yeah.
Yeah.
And I I'm curious if you have a favorite platform in terms of content. And I don't mean brand, but like, for example, I'm not a prolific blogger, but I do blog, not a lot, but I've kind of determined that even though I will still blog, I actually enjoy streaming a lot. Like it just seems to for me, it just seems for me the best way to get what I'm trying to communicate out. And then I will follow up with blog posts sometimes, but I'm curious if you have a favorite medium in terms of content or
Right
all of
now,
them.
yeah, I'm like favorite. I would say I'm as the time goes on. I obviously started with writing blog posts, but I think I enjoy making videos more. And I'm actually doing this thing where I repurpose some of the content that I make. So if I
Mhm.
make a
Yeah,
video and I feel like, oh, this could also do well as a blog post, then I'm actually going to write a blog post for that video, or just try different formats or make it a talk. If it's a talk, try to make it into a blog post, something like that. So, but
yeah,
for me, the best format that I'm currently liking is video. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
I think that's a great point, though, to bring up is the repurposing. I think a lot of times when you're learning in public or you're a content creator, so kind of getting the content creator side, you can feel like, well, I already said this thing, I can't say it again in another way. But repurposing is very helpful for most people. Do you feel like people appreciate it when they have it in multiple mediums? So, like, some people like listening to things, some people like reading. Have you found that to be like a good way to continue putting stuff out there?
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of people in which they consume content. For some people, they would rather just, for example, watch a video or read a blog
yeah,
post. So I've even seen some platforms have like, if you write blog posts on them, there is a way to transform that into like audio formats, which is also nice because it then feels like you're listening to a podcast or something like that. I think
Mhm.
it's
yeah,
valuable specifically for me as a consumer as well, because I consume a lot of other people's content as well.
Yeah.
I
hmm,
like that it's possible that I can, for example, choose to just watch a video of this person or listen to their podcast or read, yeah, read a blog
Mhm.
yeah,
post. So it's nice to have several mediums in which you can consume content, and seeing that we're developers, we're always doing that, right? It's
yeah,
good to have options, right? It's good to have options.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, I'm curious in terms of like when you're doing video, uh, some of the tools, and because I'm always curious what people are using for things. Because like for example, with the dev Twitch stream, it took me forever to figure out how people were doing some things. Like how, like for example, this is something quite trivial now that I know, but the chat, like we have it embedded in the Twitch stream, like in the video, and it's all smoke and mirrors like web development. It's literally a browser source that's just running from like the actual Twitch site. But it's like I had to dig a bit to find that and ask some people, and then so kind of I know people use different software for like creating video content. So I'm curious, what are some of the tools for somebody that might be looking to get into video content
Yeah, sure.
creation?
I definitely relate to being very okay. I can relate to being very curious about clueless about streaming on Twitch because I've also tried using OBS and of course I was very lost. But for me specifically, I do different types of content. So I like to call it, for example, talking head, where it's my face showing and I'm just speaking. And there's also where I try to screencast, so it's just my screen, and I probably have like
Okay.
a small webcam shot of me somewhere on screen. So I
Okay. Yeah.
use Final Cut Pro for editing the videos in general, regardless of what type of video it is. There are also substitutes for this in case you're not on Mac, because the Final Cut Pro is just for Apple or devices.
Oh, okay.
There's also something called Adobe Premiere Pro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I also tried using that one as well. It's actually really good. I use ScreenFlow for screencasts. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
editing any footage that has to do with me sharing my screen or any other thing, I use ScreenFlow. An
Okay.
alternative is ScreenCap. Those are two different ones that I've tried. Another tool that I would like to plug is something I've started using recently. It's called Descript. So
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
an amazing tool. You know it, right? It's so
Yes.
good.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
helps you with captioning. I also use that for some of my videos. Yeah, and for streaming because it's something I'm trying to get to. I also recently tried using Stream Deck. Is it called Stream Deck?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
you
Nick
mean
has one.
the
Stream.
actual
The
No,
hardware?
little.
One of these, you
no,
mean?
no, 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 not that one.
No.
Oh,
No, no.
Okay.
It's the it's the app. It's like
StreamYard.
OBS. Yeah, not StreamYard. Stream. To be honest, I've
stream.
forgotten. But it's
Oh,
like
is it?
OBS, but um,
What is it?
There's so many. It's okay. We're all just here guessing.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Nick, which one do you
The
got?
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's
maybe
like yeah.
Streamlab, maybe I don't know, but
Streamlabs.
yeah,
There's
there's also that
Streamlabs, StreamYard.
Streamlabs.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah, it's
okay.
Streamlabs. Yeah,
Streamlabs.
yeah.
Yes, Streamlabs. Oh, yeah, I've
There's a
also
bunch
tried
of them.
using that as well.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah,
confusing right now.
yeah. No,
Yeah, this is
it definitely is confusing because there's so many options, and like I know for the streaming, like originally I started off with OBS because that's what people said to use, or that's what I Googled and found. And then I started using Streamlabs OBS, and then there was a Twitch studio, and then I went through a bunch of them, and then I basically over time I ended up coming back just to plain OBS because it's a little more difficult in some cases, but it's just more you can do more things like for example, like we have closed captioning on the stream, and you can only do that through OBS. You can't do that like you. There's there might be other ways to do it in the other ones, but well, Streamlabs is based on OBS, so I think you can still do it there. But that was one of the main reasons why I came back, even though it's not live captioning, because for folks that don't know, live captioning is very, very expensive, and
Yeah.
we currently have no sponsors for the stream, so
yeah. Okay, that's nice because I mean, I know that there are a lot of tools, but at the end of the day, people use what works for them, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for example,
exactly.
I've seen where people recommend, oh, use Premiere Pro because it does this, it does that. And then I end up using it and I feel like, oh, this is not for me because I'm already used to using the Final Cut Pro. So I just stick with that. So stick with what works
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. With content creation, whatever's going to get you to put the content out, like if it's something you're used to, like
yeah,
it's very easy to get caught up in a lot of the tools that people recommend or that you see out there. I've done this several times. They're like, "Ooh, this looks really exciting,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
start using it, and then I realize I am not at all putting content out because I'm focusing so much on trying to like figure out this thing that if I just stuck with like the thing I knew well, would have been
yeah,
fine. So that's a great
Yeah.
point as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah. No, for sure. I gotta say though, and it's not really. I'm not trying to promote it, but I haven't done a lot of video content creation, but I do use the script for like when I stream on my own stream, and I'll do it to update the closed caption, the live captioning, or sorry, the transcripts. Like it does
Yeah.
generate some, but you can also edit it, and it's
mhm.
it's pretty wild if nobody's ever used it. I think they have a trial version, but it's think of it like you're for folks that haven't used it, it's like editing a Word doc, and as you remove words, it's actually editing the video where that piece of text was like being said. It's
Yeah.
pretty it's kind of mind-boggling, honestly. But like for what I've been doing, it's been amazing. But like I'm still curious about stuff like you're saying, like Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere Pro, because at some point, because this is something we can talk about next, but like I'm curious about doing some YouTube content at some point, but I do know, like, you know, like a lot of things, when people see it, they're like, "Oh, it's just a 2 minute video," and it's 100% it did not take 2 minutes to make that video. So, uh,
No.
like,
It's like, nope, spent
yep,
all
nope,
day on
nope.
this.
I
Yeah, yeah,
can definitely talk about the under making a video because yeah, a lot of people would see a 12 minutes video and be like, oh, it took her like 12 minutes to make this. Actually,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
it took me like 3 hours to make that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. So
There's a reason why successful YouTubers end up just being YouTubers because it takes up so much time. Like,
yeah,
to
exactly, yeah,
like to keep those videos and that content going and stuff. They're just like, I'm just a YouTuber now because that's my life.
yeah,
yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that a lot. I've seen that a
yeah,
lot. So it's kind of lucrative as well. I mean, if you're big on there,
Yeah.
I mean, you can
yeah,
live off your YouTube income. But yeah, that's not where I'm at right now.
yeah, yeah.
So
You have to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but or if you don't know, it's fine too. You have to get to a certain like amount of either followers or time viewed before it can be monetized, right? Like before you can start monetizing your videos.
yeah, they also recently changed their terms and conditions. But initially, you need to
Okay.
be at 1,000 subscribers
Mhm.
and
Oh, okay.
you need to have 4,000 hours of watch hours. So people need
Yeah.
to watch your content for 4,000 hours and then you get monetized. But right now, they're actually just putting ads on everybody's videos, regardless of if you're
Oh, okay, okay.
monetized or not, which isn't cool. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting because there's a lot of people I've watched that even in their videos they'll say, and I don't put ads on mine, and now there's ads. So that makes
Yeah, yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So
It's
either
like,
you're
uh,
making money or not. So yeah.
okay, yeah. So I probably have a ways to go, because if I look at my YouTube, I currently have 50 subscribers. So just a little a few more subscribers to make it rain, I guess. But
950.
yeah. But honestly, I haven't focused on it. It's really just been, I think, going back to like what I was saying about streaming, I just like it because the medium, like, people expect things to go wrong and it's totally okay, and then you just upload it after. So like it's pretty low effort right now. So, but I would definitely but like Christina and yourself alluded to, it does take a lot of time, so which I don't have at the moment, so that's another reason why. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
What's your favorite thing about like YouTube right now? Or is YouTube even your kind of favorite video medium? Do you prefer like YouTube? And if you do, like what's your favorite thing about like putting stuff on YouTube?
Right now, I'll say YouTube because it's the only platform that I've tried
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
so far. And I've recently seen there's been a lot of additional things being added. For example, there
Okay.
is a YouTube Shorts. It's something I tried exploring
Oh
at some
yeah.
point. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
it's basically like TikTok videos but on YouTube, right? And
Okay. Okay.
what I've what I've heard is it really helps with your numbers, but I'm not sure because I think I
Mm-hmm.
made like
Okay.
maybe two, three, or four of those. But it's basically short form content for your subscribers. And I've
Okay.
seen a lot of people do very well with that kind of content. It's something I'm still going to explore.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't done it yet. But that's
Yeah.
what I like about YouTube right now is how innovative they're getting. So for example, recently I noticed something, they added something called chapters. So
Okay.
before now, if you were making, for example, a video of about 20 minutes, for
Mm-hmm.
if it's an educational video, you want to be able to point to specific um, portions in your
Timestamps.
video, for example. Yeah, timestamps here. So you had to do that
Mm-hmm.
manually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes what I do is I rewatch the video, check the note it down, then after that add it to my description. Is a lot of work, but now
Yeah.
Okay.
they
Okay.
it's you still have to do that, but they made it even nicer in the UI, whereby if you add timestamps it's easier for
Okay.
anybody watching to just go from one to another. It has a very nice UI, and I recently just saw
Mm-hmm.
that
Okay.
a few days ago. So I like that you're
Yeah.
adding new stuff and it's not just the same old YouTube you're used to.
Yeah,
Also in
definitely.
Yeah.
the creators dashboard is also something that I'm looking forward to seeing more improvements there. But I also noticed a few changes, like in the dashboard when you're trying to upload videos. There's also been a few improvements there as well. So yeah,
Okay.
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I upload all our videos from here, and that's something I've noticed too, is that it has, since I've started like last year uploading these, the dashboard has changed a lot and made things like easier. Even like stuff
Hmm.
like subtitles and things, they've done a lot more like changing, and there's some more like security things, like they'll check stuff like, making sure there's no like copyright and things. You get like pinged on that if they feel like there's anything like that, and that has to go
Yeah.
through the whole processing. But like all of this stuff in there it's pretty nice, and it's pretty user friendly as far as like if you're trying to upload videos, anyone trying to upload videos, their
Yeah.
dashboard for that is pretty nice.
Yeah,
And
I
I
agree.
can definitely confirm that that copyright check does work because I was doing a stream on my own stream, and I had music playing, but I looked it up, and there was like it was a Spotify playlist that said something like DRM free content for Twitch, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously naively I said, okay, I guess that's good, and I did my stream, and then I went to go upload it, and then it dinged me saying there was, because one of the songs in there must have had a copyright, and
Mm.
so that feature 100% works. So,
Yeah, it does actually. It does. So I
yeah.
currently I get my music from a platform called Envanto Element. So you can get free
Okay.
stock footage and whatever from there. But they are all licensed, right? But every time I
Okay.
noticed recently, the last two videos that I made and I used music from that, it got flagged. But they will ask you, you can as well just report that it's not. So you submit the license document
Oh,
for
okay.
and then it gets cleared. But yeah, I just
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
say it also works because even though I have license, they'll still
Mm-hmm.
like flag it and then ask you to upload a license if you have one. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, these are important things to remember, folks. If you're uploading videos to YouTube, they do a good job of flagging that stuff, and you got to be careful
Yeah.
if you have like music or things in the background. That's why you'll see a lot of like, if you like fitness stuff on YouTube or anything, that a lot of them have music around because they have licenses for it. They can use that, and you got to be careful
Yeah.
what you're adding.
Yeah. No, I was checking it out, what you were suggesting there. I'll drop it in the chat there. But so it's yeah, I guess it's a curated list because there's like I think it's like $16 a month or something. But
Yeah,
like,
Oh,
it's
Envato's
definitely
good for like
great.
lots of things for any kind of content. So if you're a content creator, Envato is nice to have a
okay.
license to get different graphics that you might want to use, even on like your posts and
Oh,
stuff,
okay.
or photos
Yeah,
and things. It gives you a lot of stuff. So that's cool that they have audio too.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just checking it out. Yeah, okay. I might
Yeah.
try it out if I ever make an actual YouTube video and not just a screen recording. Um,
Yeah. I don't have a
yeah.
license to it, but Andrew Brown did when I worked for him, and that's where I'd grab all my stuff to
Okay.
do the content
Yeah,
that we would do.
it's actually,
It was like,
it's
yeah.
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
really good. And it's what the book says what if you're using it long term instead of subscribing to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
It's it's always funny when like, like as developers will complain about paying for something sometimes. Like now I honestly I just buy stuff like when I was first starting off there was like a ton of stuff I couldn't afford, but now I'm like if I can afford this, I'm gonna get the course if it helps me level up. You know what I mean? Even if it's somewhat expensive, I know that long term that's gonna help me career wise. So little shout
Yeah.
out to
Yeah.
support your content creators. We got two with me right now. So
Yeah, I'm also
um
doing that as yeah, sorry.
Okay.
that's all
I
good.
yeah, okay. I feel like for me it's an investment, right? So if I'm investing in myself to grow, then it kind of ties back into the content that I'm making, which then gives value at the end of the day. So for me, it's something that I'm very happy to do. And recently
Yeah.
I was just thinking, oh, how many subscriptions do I have to stuff? And I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked when
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
the calculation. I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
A
Yeah.
note to people, depending on where you put your content, if you are a content creator, you might get free subscriptions because like LinkedIn, I have free,
Okay.
like their premium plus LinkedIn Learning forever now that I did a course there.
Okay.
Egghead, I have free access to their stuff because I have some videos on there. So depending on like what platforms you're putting stuff on, you may find that like, but I agree that the subscription thing is kind of like, oh, you realize like what all you have and I have a
Yeah.
bad habit of forgetting sometimes of like what I had. I had like signed up for something like recently that I was like using it a lot and then I totally forgot the name of it and I couldn't find it. And I was like, I know I'm paying like $20 a month for this and I can't find it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Uh,
Oh man.
It's good.
Cool. Yeah, so kind of getting back to we dug into some content creation there, but we kind of started off with the learn in public and you were mentioning like that's kind of how you started getting into web development. And so kind of wanted to talk a bit about that. I know you're a fan of Vue just from following you on Twitter. So I know you're a big fan of that, but I don't know if you want to maybe speak to like kind of what you've been doing in front end land, like not necessarily specific projects, but just like kind of what you've been working with and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to
Sure, I can definitely speak to that. So I started working with Vue a little over like a year after I got into front-end development, and it
okay,
was for a very fun side project. And
mm,
okay,
I fell I fell in love after then, and I just decided to go with it. But at the time where I was working, we're not using Vue, we're using React. So of course,
okay,
all the times I used Vue until last year was for personal projects. So
okay,
I did a lot of stuff with, for example, if I'm making a tutorial, a blog post, I would default to using Vue for that because that's how I keep up with
hmm
that skill. Because at the end of
yeah.
the day, I don't use it in my full-time job.
Yeah.
okay,
Um, until last year when I started using it at my full-time job, and then I really love using it, and that's when I got into Nox.js.
okay,
Nox is my framework of choice. It's something I really like using. It's a Vue.js framework, by the way. So,
Okay.
and projects that I've built with Note, I can as well say I work I worked or work with a consultancy, and there we get to work with different clients. So I'm a last client. I was helping them build like a design system with Nox and
Okay.
Vue.js and Storybook. So it was a very nice project. And I've also built a conference platform, so a
Okay.
website where we have a conference, or we had the conference. I don't know what tense to use. I'm so confused. Yeah. I also
Oh, you can use that tense.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
All the
I
tenses.
also I also built a conference platform. I worked with a team that built a conference platform using Nox,
Okay.
Storybook,
Mhm.
Storyblock, because I mix it up a lot. Storyblock,
Oh,
which is
okay,
the
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
CMS. Yeah, and yeah, it's actually a very nice ecosystem of tools. I'm also a big fan of the Jamstack, so a lot of things that I've worked with over the years has to do with that area. So
Mhm.
doing something with, for example, a CMS.
Yeah.
I've worked with Sanity, Storyblock. Um, which other ones? I've actually tried a couple Contentful as well, and done
Okay.
stuff with Netlify functions. Those are the areas that I'm specialized in. So helping companies or
Okay.
helping the clients that I've worked with, for example, migrate from a traditional CMS to using a headless CMS, something like that. So
Mhm.
it's been very
Yeah.
interesting working with those
Yeah,
technologies. Yeah.
I don't know about you, Christina, but I still haven't worked with any headless CMSs. I mean, I worked with when I first like it, when I redid my blog in 2017. I used Gatsby at the time, and then ended up using Netlify CMS, which I guess is somewhat headless, but it's really just committing to Git for you. So I don't know if it is considered that, but it seems to
You
be like a pretty interesting space, like the whole headless content CMS. Sorry.
Yeah, my first job I ever had as a front end developer, we were working with Drupal mainly, and then at some point they
Okay.
kind of heard about Jamstack, and they were also interested in Vue, and so I learned that a little bit, and then we did Headless Drupal on a project for
Okay,
someone.
that exists too.
Um,
Okay.
Yep.
nice.
So we did that, and then I have worked with some just to like play around with them, some of the other headless ones, just to try them out and play with them, like Contentful. I think actually when I worked at Design Code, we used Contentful, so I did that one and a couple of other ones that I've tried. But yeah,
Okay. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Because
I have to say
yeah,
it's
they have.
nice doing like the headless one with the front end that you like versus like working with Drupal. For me
So
personally,
yeah.
working with Drupal
Yeah.
was a big pain for me, but being able to do like whatever like front end I want and then adding on a CMS was really nice. So I did like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah, I've
it
also
makes
seen
sense. Yeah.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
also seen that happen a lot. Like I related for example, newsletters, blog posts, and I see a lot of people maybe creating content or talking about how they migrated from using WordPress to using like headless WordPress. So that just reminded
Hmm.
Okay.
me when you said something like
Yeah.
headless. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's Headless
Yeah.
Drupal, Headless WordPress, if anyone wants to try those as well if they like those. But
Yeah.
um,
No, I can definitely see there being big advantages to the headless because then you still you still have access. Like for example, I haven't used WordPress in years, but like WordPress always had a really good admin dashboard and like if you were editing things, so I imagine you still get that experience of inserting the content, but then it's just like I imagine with all the headless CMSs, it's all REST calls or I guess you could do it on the server side if you pull it in, but it's still a REST call. But yeah, you kind of get the best of both worlds, I guess, in that sense.
yeah.
Because yeah, because I remember with WordPress, at least, it's like there was certain conventions to the theming and everything, and so it's like,
Hmm.
And then you would get that, like, I don't know, for anybody that's done PHP, like out of the blue, you're like, why is my screen all blank? It's like
Oh yeah.
it's like
Oh, it's
whenever
the
there's
worst
an
when you put
error,
up
you're
like
like,
something for like a live site and then everything's just white. You're like, no.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
did
yeah.
I
It's
do?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the winter theme. It's the winter theme. Enjoy, enjoy. But yeah, but no, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah. And I know
I also
they.
like,
Oh,
Go
sorry. Go
ahead,
ahead.
Gift.
Good.
yeah, I was going to say, I also like that the space of headless space is actually very diverse. Like there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
platforms. Sometimes it gets too confusing to pick which one
Yeah.
to use, right? And I like that there are options. So for some of them, they are actually free
Yeah.
and open source. Some of them you have to pay for. And
Hmm.
depending on your use case, so if you're, for example, building a personal project, you probably want to go for the free and open source
Yeah.
one. If you're working
Yeah.
for a company and you, depending on the how you want it to be scalable, you then have to pay for it or something. But yeah, I
Hmm.
just want to point that there are lots of options. They're the ones that are giving you like different kinds of it. So you have like if you want to consume the content that you're saving in CMS, and it's
Yeah.
actually very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's speaking of the free tiers, like I've noticed there's definitely been a shift over the past few years where there's a lot of generous free tiers now, including stuff like Netlify and Vercel as well in terms of hosting and stuff, which I think is great because like as somebody who's learning things potentially, like you're not, paying through the nose for all these things. And then like obviously at some point you would probably have to pay depending on what you're doing. But I think that's just a really great way to build like, a potential customer base, by just like even I haven't used Cloudinary that much, but I know they have a pretty generous free tier too. And like I said, even the Netlify one, I pay for build minutes now on Netlify, but it's only because there's some
Mm,
stuff I have to clean up some stuff on my blog. It's like it deploys too much and it does too much right now. So like it's just I've been paying the bill every month because I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually. But yeah,
yeah. I
that's
was
cool.
also going to mention that there are platforms that also do this pay as you use
Mm-hmm.
as
Okay,
well.
yeah.
I think that's actually fair because I mean, if you're, for example, in your case, you're exceeding your current free limit, so you have to pay for a little bit more.
Hmm.
If I'm doing that, then it's fine. Instead of paying like a fixed cost and you don't end up getting value for your money, then I mean, it's
Yeah.
good to have that as a payment option
Yeah.
for
Oh
tools
yeah,
like
for
that.
sure. Oh yeah. No, I mean, I definitely don't mind paying it now. I know it's me. I just need to reduce my build time, but I'm totally okay with paying it. I love, I mean, honestly, it's a great time to be a developer. There's so many amazing tools and platforms. Like if you even think back, like even 5 or 6 years ago, I mean, it's not that things were terrible then, but like it's just things just keep getting better and better. I know people grumble about stuff still, but I feel like we got it pretty good, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just getting better too. Like so many tools. Yeah.
I agree.
Like,
Um, yeah, another thing or thing that I think about you just shared is it can as well be very daunting, especially for people that are still trying to find their balance. Like they don't want
Mm-hmm.
yes,
to,
yes.
for example, I like to think that Twitter is a place you should look for advice on what source to use
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you definitely be confused because of course there are a lot of things, right? But
Yeah.
how do you pick which one is right for you? How do you choose which one to go for? Yes, just
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's
this
No,
something
this is
yeah.
very true. I think I'm like 5 years into this now, and I still half the time feel like I'm like, where do I want to go with this? What am I learning? It's probably worse as
Yeah,
a
yeah.
developer advocate because I'm constantly having to learn like new things. But still, it's like, I don't know if that feeling goes away sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
no, I still
But
have
it's yeah, but it's also a good point to like because like I've spoken to a lot of people that have just been like starting their developer journey. And so like say for example somebody in a boot camp or just somebody self-taught and they're learning, you know, HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. That's, you know, that like that's what they're trying to learn. But then it's like, okay, so you know, you also have Webpack or Parcel or this, and then you can deploy it to this platform, and you know, so it's and these are all amazing things, but I can see I've seen people when they're starting out, they're like, I just want to show my HTML page. What do I do? But like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, there's like other amazing tools. Like CodePen is a great place if you're just trying to learn front end stuff because all of that stuff's kind of removed. You know, it's just like and
Mm-hmm.
there's other online editors too, and you know, like stuff like even like Code Sandbox, you know, it's a great place where you're like, okay, I can grab a template and then I don't know how to compile my React or, you know, set up the whole build, but I can just go there and start creating components and do what I'm actually trying to learn. So it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's definitely something I have heard from people starting out fairly often, and not even just starting out, like even a year or two in, it's still like, wow, there's so there's so many moving parts, you know?
Yeah.
So
Ooh, that's the hard part, and I don't know, Gift, if you've experienced this at all, is like because I did learn in public, a lot of times I get asked to like do a podcast or something like that, and I'll get asked like, "How did you get into tech?" Or people will DM me like, "How did you get into tech?" And
mhm.
like nowadays, I tell them I'm like, "Listen, even though it was like it wasn't that long ago, like I could learn just HTML, CSS, and
Yeah,
JavaScript, and I got a job and got in, but it is." I'm not going to give you the advice that I had, like how I got in, because it's not the same. And I feel horrible, like
yeah,
giving you that advice. I'm not going to tell you to just learn just that and you're good to go, because it's a lot more difficult than
yeah,
that. I don't know if you've had that experience at all, Gift.
Yeah, definitely. I get
yeah,
asked a lot as well to ask for advice. And to be honest, I also feel that way because my time, it was just like you said, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Then if you
mhm,
want to go into jQuery or probably learn vanilla,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. And then later you can
yeah,
go into a framework. But right now it's definitely the scene is different. And I've also seen that for people, for context, I'm from Nigeria, right? And
yeah,
back there, it's a little bit difficult for entry level people to break into tech because of the
Yeah.
limited opportunities, right? Until you
yeah,
get to a certain level. So, if you, for example, have worked in tech for like 3 years, then you can start looking outside
Mm-hmm.
of the shores of the country for opportunities. But if you're still within that
yeah,
early years, then you're restricted to find opportunities there. And not a lot of people are willing to hire junior developers, beginners in tech, so it's kind of
Yeah.
difficult for
yeah,
them. And the advice that I'll typically give to them is as well share my own. I like to also
Mm-hmm.
how I did mine, but you can also go
mhm,
through this route if you're interested. And lately, I've been recommending to a lot of people the idea of sharing your work, learning in public,
Yeah.
because I think that it really helps, right? As I don't know of other people. Mine is a success story because I mean, if I had pretty much just stayed in one corner doing my stuff without doing anything, just learning on, I
Yeah.
don't think that a lot of things
yeah,
that happened in the course of my career would have happened for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of also pitch that as a substitute because I mean, if you want to
Yeah.
stand out from the crowd, this is how you can do
yeah,
that. And
Yeah.
few people that took my advice actually doing pretty well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
that's something I like to share as well.
Oh, I'd agree with that. When I had students, and they would ask me, that was the thing I tell them, like, I'm sorry, I hate to put more things on you that you feel like, everyone feels like they have to keep up with things and do things. But I was like,
yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
if you learn something and you share it and you put it out there, you're probably going to have a better time and get noticed. Like, when I got hired for the first job that I had, it was at an agency. And the only reason they hired me was because they saw all my code pins and the stuff that I had been sharing and the stuff I had been learning. Like, and they thought, okay, I saw your progress from when you like were doing like very little to like where you're at now in that short span of time. So I know we can teach
yeah,
you. So we'll bring you on, because I was obviously a junior, like I didn't have any experience. but they knew they could teach me because I was willing to share that stuff. And so while it is like this other thing that you have to do, if you're willing to put yourself out there and share that stuff as you're learning it, you're going to get
Yeah.
noticed a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah, I
That's true.
100% agree too. It's like I understand it can be daunting for people, and I I found it easier because I'm typically extroverted, so like I can talk to a stranger like at a bar or something and just say like, "Hey, what's up?" But I know not everybody does that, and you know but it's like you were saying, both of you, like you have to stand out because, and especially like a lot, at least for like folks starting out right now, like the people that I've spoken to, especially it's a pandemic as well, which doesn't help. So like
Mhm.
pretty much everybody is remote almost, I would say, or roughly. I mean, there's still some people in office even during the
Mhm.
pandemic, I guess, but like all of a sudden, you're not just the this small pool of people just starting out in your country or in your city. All of a sudden
Uh-huh.
it's you and like the planet, so
Yeah.
like, and I don't know, it's definitely daunting, but I 100% agree that you have to stand out. You have to do, I mean, obviously within legal limits, but like anything you can do to stand out, like whether it's streaming or whatever, or like even when you go to interviews and stuff, mention some funny story, again, assuming it's appropriate, read the room, I guess, but like there's somebody, I'm in this virtual coffee group, and one of the newer members, he's breaking into tech, but he actually is a mechanic on a ship. So like that's a pretty cool job, and like I think if you were to
Yeah.
go to interview where like they interviewed 10 front ends, because that's what he's looking to get into, and you're like, yeah, I used to, or I'm still fixing ships, and you talk a bit about it, the regardless of whatever else he said, they'll probably go like, oh yeah, that's the ship guy, like,
Yeah.
and so like stuff like that too, and like, and just, but I can understand that that people can find it tough to put themselves out there. But just like both of you, like I've only noticed my career skyrocket since, not like, doing open source, definitely streaming helps. Like you were saying, Christina, people will be like, oh yeah, well, I saw your video, and like, and or hey, you're doing a LinkedIn course now, that's amazing, like you like 3 years ago you were doing this other thing, so it's like, it's I think it's, I don't know, it's tough too, because like I know everybody's situation's different, and not everybody has the privilege to put in all these hours to do these things. So like I don't know about both of you, but I'm always conflicted when I give this advice, because like I always kind of have to, like a few years ago I would always just say like, yeah, YOLO, just do these things. But now I've kind of had a bit of perspective where it's like, okay, I understand you can't do these things because like you're already working two jobs and you're trying to break in tech. So it's like, I don't know. I'm always like gung ho to give the advice, and then I kind of pull back a bit just because of stuff like that. But it's uh
Yeah.
it's tough.
I
I
think that's why you
also,
kind of give. Oh, go ahead, give.
yeah, I was going to say, I also always give a disclaimer. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, not
Yeah,
everybody can do it. It takes a lot of commitment to be
yeah,
consistent, even because the only way to see results is, again, if you do it and you stay consistent doing it, right? Not just do it once and then expect to see results. So I always tell people
yeah,
that you need to know that it's an option that I'm giving you, not like, hey, do this and then
Yeah.
you.
yeah.
So
100%. And I think that was exactly what I was going to say. There's like a disclaimer there. It's something you can do that I think a lot of people have seen success with, and if you have the time to do it.
Hmm.
And also, I think people need to keep in mind that little things add up. Like when I was doing
Oh
100
yeah,
days of code, like they were always small, very, very small projects I was doing. But those tiny projects that I was doing, like really added up over time, and I could see my progress, and then I could talk about that and share it with people. And
yeah,
so it doesn't have to be like you're doing a blog post every single day. It's like, can you do a blog post once a month even, like just to share something?
yeah,
That's going to add up over time. You don't have to feel like you have to put the content out like all the time, which I think you can get in kind of this like feeling like I have to share something, every day. But you don't have
Yeah.
to see like good returns for the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I agree.
No.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I mean, I was reading Atomic Habits earlier this year, and like uh I mean, and I was doing some of this stuff before anyways, but it's like just having played like some university sports and stuff too, it's like you go to practice, like just showing up, doing the practice, like or
Mhm.
like like you're saying, like you're tired, you don't feel like working out, but if you at least go there, even if you did 20 minutes instead of an hour, that's better than not doing anything. And then just having that consistency, because like people will get like writer's block, or you'll just be like, I just can't do this today. But like just the act of like getting in that habit, and I don't know. I feel
Mhm.
like I'm promoting a lot of products today, but it's not intentional.
Yeah, when Christina was talking, first thing that came, tiny tiny changes, remarkable results. Because I also read the
Mhm.
book sometime last year, and yeah, I
Yeah.
got a lot from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people maybe think that sometimes that like that's I don't know. I think we're all in a rush, right? Like when we're first getting into tech, and I know I was like guilty of this
Hmm.
when I first, learning and stuff, and just feeling like I had to learn everything and do everything. And I think it was at the point someone asked me recently, like, how do you combat like burnout, or how do you deal with like burnout? Because I've experienced burnout before, and I think that was one of the things when
Yeah.
I realized like I can do small things that add up to something greater, and not feeling like I have to do everything right away or like something
Yeah.
huge, that it made a big difference as far as like being able to do content, feeling like I could put content out there. Also, I
Yeah.
don't know, Gift, if you've experienced this, and I'm wondering how you feel about this. I've seen a lot of people who are very consistent with their content, which I think is amazing. Like they'll say like, I'm going to do 100 days of like content, and they do 100 days.
Mhm.
I've done stuff where I've done like, I'm going to do this, and then like after maybe like a couple of times I've done it or something in life happens, and I think
Yeah.
it can be very easy to feel like I failed,
Yeah.
where I try to look back now like, hey, at least I got like 10 posts out or something. Like if I said I was going to do like this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you like experienced that at all with your own content?
Definitely. I've been there for the last 3 months. I've been a little bit quiet.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's because I was experiencing burnout, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I had
Okay.
to just take some time off, but I can definitely relate to what you were saying. So one time, I think earlier in the year, I said I was going to commit to doing the cloud skills challenge, where
Yeah.
you get like AWS
Okay.
certification. I was super pumped. I was very happy. And then I went on
Yeah.
to make it sweet that I'm going to be doing this. I did it for like a week. But at the time, I think I was moving, so it didn't
Okay.
go as planned. So I just left off. I stopped posting and whatever. I stopped actually. I didn't go through with the certification, and I felt very bad because, again, like when you put stuff out, it feels like people are holding you accountable to do those things, and it's kind of
Hmm.
like putting pressure on yourself to do it. But I
Hmm.
I now have this I have this, should I say, feeling that I really don't need to push myself too much, because I did that and it led to burnout, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay to relax or take a break, but as
Hmm.
long as you get back to doing what you're doing, which is something you actually like, because I really like doing what I'm
Yeah.
doing, but like whenever it feels like this is too stressful or this is extra work, I already have a 9 to 5. Right?
Yeah.
Doing
Yeah.
the extra content is actually extra work, but I still love doing it.
Yeah.
So anytime it begins to feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing this, I just like to take a step back. I feel like I
Yeah.
need to take a few days off from doing it and then go back to it, because if you lose the fire, to be honest, then what's the point? That's what I always say. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I
it's
agree
okay
for
to take
sure.
breaks.
I think the other interesting part to that, because you mentioned the AWS like challenge. I remember getting really excited about that and doing stuff too. At the time, I was working with Andrew Brown, so I was like doing a lot of content, and then life happened, pandemic happened, I lost my job, had to find a
Yeah.
different job, like all this stuff did not finish. The
Just
nice
a few
thing about that
things.
is that you can go back to these things. I actually last week started getting back into like cloud stuff and getting excited
Okay.
again, because I think sometimes we feel like, well, I didn't do that, there, it's gone, no more. But really, we can always get back into those things, and it's okay. You can just pick up where you were, and keep sharing as you're learning, because why not? Or pivot. Like if you if you
Yeah.
dedicated some time to it, and you're like, this is miserable, I actually don't want to learn the cloud, then it's
Fine.
Yeah,
okay
yeah.
to stop. Like,
Yeah,
just
it's
stop.
fine.
That's
Yeah.
fine too.
No,
All
that's
good things to
definitely a
remember.
good point. I think it's just good that you're trying things, and I've definitely been burnt out sometimes, and like I don't know, lately I just like I have all kinds of ideas I want to do. And then like for example, like last weekend I was like, yeah, I'll do this or maybe I'll do that. And then like after supper I was just like, you know what? I'm tired. My body needs to rest, so I watched some Netflix and I might have read a few things, but like, it was just the better call because like, maybe next weekend or another weekend, then I'll have a bit more energy and I'll just be in a better zone to do it. But I was just like, you know what? Because the other thing, and it's not just side stuff, but even just regular work, if you're not sleeping well or you get in that funk, and then it's just like you're kind of stuck in quicksand. You're just not real. Well, you are moving, you're sinking, I guess, but
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like, you kind of get in that rut. So it's like, yeah, I was just like, you know what? Sleeping's better. And like, it was the better call. Not that I'm the perfect sleeper. I'm constantly working on trying to get more sleep because I've definitely had bad habits in the past of going to bed late and then, well, I still do it, but it's when you go to bed late and get up really early that doesn't work too well
Yeah.
over
I do
time.
that too much too. I do that too much too. I sometimes sleep
Yeah.
12, 1 a.m. and I'm awake by 4. Even if I don't have
Okay.
anything to do, it's just that it's something that I really need to fix because,
Yeah.
yeah, it really affects you at the end of the day, to be honest. So,
I'm
Oh
still in
yeah,
that
yeah,
life
for
phase
sure.
where I have a child that wakes up in the middle of the night. So that's
Okay.
been going on for 9 years with each different child. So that's where my sleep interruption comes from. It's like, oh, sleep, 12 o'clock, wake up, child, 3
Yeah, yeah.
o'clock, wake up, child. So that's always fun.
My, yeah, my kids are a little older now, so it's more like try and get them out of bed, which is not a bad thing. But
Or
but yeah. Yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah, goals, goals, goals. But no, but yeah, I remember, getting up in the middle of the night sometimes, and then you just kind of sit in the rocking chair with a bottle, and you're just kind of like, you're sleeping kind of, but like there's some parental instinct that says like my arm is not going to drop this baby. But anyways,
yeah.
yeah. Anywho,
uh,
um,
yeah. It's people. The summary there is take breaks if you need it. It's okay.
yeah, 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 and
Listen to
don't
your
drop babies.
body. Don't drop babies. That's important too.
Yes,
No, don't
Uh,
do that. Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I think we touched on a lot of subjects so far. Nick, is there anything else specific you wanted to touch on with Gift?
it's it's not so much the stuff we said we were going to talk about today, but I'm curious because it's a big life move, changing
Oh
countries.
yeah.
Like I mean, aside from the logistics, yes, packing and all, like I mean, is that something you were just like, you know what, YOLO, I'm just going, or was it like something you really had to think about a lot? Uh, because it's a big change, obviously.
Yeah, it definitely is. So for context, I moved last year, October, to the Netherlands,
Okay.
and before that time, I just have it. It would be nice to move somewhere else, seeing that I work in an industry that allows me to do that. Yeah,
I'm here.
and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was first of all open to doing remote work, for which I did for a couple of months. And then I started looking out for new opportunities and I was
Okay.
caught between should I look for remote or should I look for a relocation, a job that will allow me to relocate. And I actually
Okay.
decided to do both because, I mean, it's a win-win situation for me either way. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm working
Yeah.
remotely um, out of my house, I mean, I'm fine. I love doing it. It's fine. If I
Yeah.
also find an opportunity where they are willing to move me to a new country, also good because I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't want to to go to a new environment, you know, start something new? Of course, it's very scary to be honest because I've never lived. Okay, I've lived out of my country, but it was for my college, university. But I was
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
always going back home and whatnot, so it was fine. But this is literally moving out and
Yeah.
actually not going back because I've not thought
Yeah.
about going back yet. Yeah,
Okay.
and and the part where it became very difficult was it was in the pandemic, right? I
Yeah.
moved
Yeah.
during the
That's what I was
pandemic.
gonna say. You moved during the pandemic, so a completely different
Yeah,
experience too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Not the typical experience.
Yeah, not the typical experience. A lot of things were different from having to wait for my visa to having to hear that there is like lockdown again, the airport is closed, you're not allowed to travel, and
Yeah.
then you have
Yeah.
to change dates and whatnot. But I mean, I finally made it here otherwise, but it took a lot of extra, like not the usual way you would typically go about doing it, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
even
Gotcha.
moving to a new country, I think a lot of people don't talk about that. So I feel like if you move to somewhere you're not used to, for example, here, I mean, but the official language is Dutch, right? I don't speak
Yeah.
Dutch. It's a different ball game entirely because you try to um, fit into the new environment that you're.
Yeah.
There's a lot of culture shocks that you face. Having to
Hmm.
move in a pandemic as well, not very, because I spent like 8 months indoors working from home. Wasn't
Mm-hmm.
very nice.
Yeah.
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 I think I really began to explore this country like I moved here last year, October. So there's that
Okay.
as well. And right now, I also just moved from a different city to another one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
the entire process of moving for me is fun. It's interesting to think that I'm moving to a new place, but it comes with a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
For
wasn't
sure.
anticipating to be this stressed. I was
Yeah.
thinking actually, because I've lived here a year, I have things to pack. I think I can just. I keep saying it in my head that I'll just boxes and then I'm fine to move. And I was shocked
Yeah.
when I was packing. I had like 10 boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a lot. Logistics wise, it was a lot of extra work that I had to
Yeah.
do. And I
These
mean,
are all great
yeah.
points. I'm like shaking my head like yep because
Yeah.
I it's funny because when I got into community management, I was reading this book on community management. I can't remember the name now, but they were talking about like a community is a place where you can feel like comfortable to be yourself and things like that. And I had read another
Yeah.
article that like kind of corresponded with that, was where why do people move places and then leave? Like why do they move to other countries and don't stay? And one of the things was like the big culture shock. Like if you can't like
Yeah.
start feeling comfortable and like you can be like yourself, then you don't want to be there as much. And that has been a really hard thing
Yeah.
moving during the pandemic, because just like you were saying, completely different language, right? And you didn't get
Yeah.
to really explore. Same here in Costa Rica. I'm not fluent yet in Spanish, and I was learning a lot of Spanish, and then the pandemic happened, and then there's no one to talk to,
Yeah.
right? So it's like one of those things where it's like you have to remember all those things when you're coming somewhere. Plus the logistics of like, especially when the
Yeah.
pandemic hit, a lot of it was like, can you even stay in the other country where you're at? For us, for like my family,
Yeah.
like, do we have to go back to the US? There's all that logistics and stuff too. So these are just things for people to keep in mind as they're like considering. I think a lot of people think remote work and they think like the nomadic life and they think about like moving somewhere else. And I have a lot of people who message me pretty often, like asking like, how did you
Yeah.
get to Costa Rica? How does that work out for you? And It works out differently for everyone. I had my youngest child here, so that's why we've been able to stay. But that doesn't work out for everyone. Like you have to, you have to have a work visa. There's different ways that you can get into countries, and there's different ways that you'll get kicked out if you're if you're not supposed to be there. And so, stuff for
for
people to
sure.
keep in mind. What do you feel like has been? Oh, go ahead, Gift.
I was also going to say, I think as tech people in tech, we have more advantage people because I know some countries that have like specific visas for people. For example, the UK has something called Tech Nation, which is nice, right? So not a lot of other industry has as much opportunities as we have, right?
Yeah. That's definitely another one to think of. There are certain countries that look specifically for people who are more like technical and will give you a visa to like come there if you'll work there and stuff like that. So that is something you can look into. But these are just all things to like be aware of, and also just like I said, and I think like Gift alluded to, like your willingness to immerse yourself in a culture and be comfortable there is going to be a big difference in like your experience somewhere. Like I hear, just for my own self, I hear occasionally like people from America who've come to like Costa Rica and gone back, and they'll tell like stories or something, and they'll talk about Costa Rica in a way that's just like, did you like you came with some expectations of like this being America or something, and it's not. Like you gotta change your idea of like what you're gonna expect when you're in a different country, and so it's just
this
things
is
to
not a
think about.
Wendy's. This is not a Wendy's.
Yeah, we do. There
No, it
are
is true.
occasional Wendy's in Costa Rica.
Oh
No,
yeah, no,
Wendy's
I
is
know.
not one we've seen. Wendy's
What's
is not one
Wendy's?
we've seen. Wendy's is a
What's that?
fast food. So if you think of like McDonald's, or I don't know if you know about Burger King, but like the big three and like very popular in the U.S. are Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, the logo, it's the girl Wendy.
When you go somewhere and you're like, what is that thing?
Yeah, if you see
there are a lot of times that
oh, go ahead.
there are a lot of times that I hear something new and so what's that? I just go ahead and ask.
Yeah. You'll know Wendy's when you see it, because there's a like the main logo, like if you forget the wording, it's like this girl, I think she's got blue and white striped dress, I think, but the main
like plaid dress.
But the big thing is like she has these super long ponytails with red hair. I don't know if you ever read or seen the movie Pippi Longstocking, but it kind of looks like that to some degree. But anyways, I'm throwing too many cultural references out here. But anyways, they sell burgers.
Even the difference between Canada and like the U.S., because Nick will say stuff sometimes, and I'm like, what is that, Nick? I have never. What is that thing? There's some
Pippi Longstocking doesn't exist.
No. I know what that is. But I think we were all talking about our favorite like board games or something, and you had mentioned something, and I was like, I have never heard of this game in my life.
Yeah.
What is that?
There's this game. It's called Crokinole, which is clearly a Canadian, or maybe it's a British thing. My dad's from the UK, so I don't know if that's what it is, but I don't know if do you know what curling is? Have you ever seen curling on TV? It's definitely not, well, I would say it's air quote mainstream now, but picture people sliding on ice, throwing not throwing, but like pushing large like flat rocks that slide, and then they knock other pieces and stuff, and I don't know.
Wow.
Anyways, it's kind of like that, but on a game board. But anyways, it's we do fun things in Canada, but curling I don't think is Canadian. I mean, it's definitely associated with Canada, but I can't remember if it started in Scotland or not. But
I was gonna say anywhere really cold, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
They do in Costa Rica.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, this is not. You'll have to watch the crokinole and curling news, I guess, to get up to speed. But if that exists,
can you link that? Because I'd like to check it.
Yeah. It's actually fun. I do it in, well, we were supposed to do it this year, like because you can do it recreationally. There's
Mhm.
a curling arena about 4 blocks away from me, but here, I'll drop the Curling Canada homepage in the chat, and people can check that out. They're typically sponsored by Tim Hortons, which is kind of like the
That's another very
main.
Canadian thing.
Yeah,
Tim Hortons.
but it does exist in the States though, but it's more, I think it's more bordering states though, like
Yeah.
uh in Detroit and stuff, or like, but anyways, it's donuts and coffee place, but they typically
Yeah.
sponsor it. But yeah, I
There's
know
also
we're
something
talking
that
about all
I've
the important stuff.
yeah, I was just going to shows you don't expect it, but sometimes it happens. There there's some things that both cultures shares.
Mhm.
They probably have different names, but they're literally the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back home there is a
Mhm.
snack that we
Mhm.
have. It's quite popular. It's made out of dough, but we call it puff puff.
Oh
Puff
yeah.
like puff puff.
Okay,
And I moved here, and then I found it. They call it here. They call it holy bolly. It's
Holy
like
moly.
okay,
it's a Christmas snack, so it's only available from like
okay,
November until January. But I bought it
okay,
because I was like, oh, this looks super familiar, but what is this? And then I tried it. It's exactly the same thing, the same process of
okay,
making
okay.
it. So I'm very open to the opinion now that I mean
Uh,
different cultures share the same things but different names. Of course,
Different
yeah.
names. Yes, very much.
yeah,
I've seen that a lot as well.
yeah, no, for sure. Cool, cool. Well, I think we covered a lot, all the way from learning in public to curling. So,
Snacks. Yeah.
is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Gift, or if not, definitely feel free to let us know where people can find you.
Yeah, I dropped your Twitter and your YouTube already.
Okay,
Okay. Thanks. Pretty much. I use the same handle everywhere. Sometimes you can find me as Gift Egwuenu or Laura Gift on most
okay,
of the social media platforms. I also have a Polywork profile. I'm trying to plug that in now.
okay, yeah,
Polywork is,
yeah, we'll drop
is
You
that.
can
very
grab that
nice.
one.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Gift
I got
Egwuenu
it.
as well.
Timeline. There we go. I put it in
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're all three Polywork power users here.
yeah, yeah. We're all fans of it. If you're not using it yet, check it out. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, especially it ties into content creation and just kind of not necessarily showing your whole self, but like definitely showing multiple facets of things you do, and I
Yeah.
don't know, it's fun.
I
I like it.
agree.
Me
I
too.
Anyway, I think I really enjoyed this and it was so much fun for me.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Awesome. We had a great time talking with you.
Uh,
It's good
yeah.
seeing you again, and even amidst all of your moving and stuff. So thank you for joining
Yeah,
us amidst all of that.
sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For anyone watching, just so we reiterate, this was our last Twitch stream for the year. So we'll be back in January. But this will be uploaded later on to our YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch it at all. And just thank you all for watching this year. We've had a lot of fun with all of these and happy to end with Gift as our guest here.
Thank
Yeah. Yeah.
you.
Thanks.
And
Thanks so
such
much for
an honor.
joining us.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, we'll see everybody in the new year then.
Bye.
Take care.